You guys, the time has finally come. If you didn't already watch my Magnolia Parks vlog, I read it and I'm obsessed, long story short. And I ordered all 4 of the other books when I was at the halfway point of Magnolia Parks, and they're finally here. So today we're gonna read Daisy Haites. I don't know why this happened, but all the books came in like opposite order. So obviously I already had Magnolia Parks, and then they came, I ordered them all at the same time, and they were delivered Into the Dark first, which is the last one so far, then The Great Undoing, which is number 4, then The Long Way Home, and like 3 days later after The Long Way Home, I just got Daisy Haites today, just now, like an hour ago. I don't know who was trying to make this extra hard for me and make me wait a week and a half. It's been a week and a half since I read this book, so imagine my struggle. Anyway, they're here now. Daisy is here now, and we're gonna read her. I'm not gonna binge this one like I did Magnolia Parks, just because there's really no need to, but I do think that I'll probably finish it pretty fast. I'm excited to see how I like it because, again, I know that some people are more Magnolia Parks girlies and some people are more Daisy Haites girlies. I loved Magnolia so much, but part of me feels like I think I'm gonna like Daisy's books even more. So we'll see. Again, there will be no spoilers. I will save those for the very end, and I will warn you before those come. I think that's all I have to say. Let's start. Just read the first chapter, so it's literally only like 11 pages in. I can already see the differences, like writing style wise, between Magnolia Parks and Daisy Haites, because I know some people say, or I've heard that Magnolia and BJ's story has less of a plot and it's more just like the back and forth banter, and like, I don't really know how to explain, but there's not much of a plot in that one. And I've heard that this one is less of that and more of like an actual story. So I can already feel the difference between the two. Something that's interesting that I'm not sure that I like is that there's little like footnotes on pretty much every page. And I kind of did look ahead, and it seems like it goes on for like most of the book, which is fun to kind of get in Daisy's head a little bit more, or I don't know if it's also going to be for like Julian and I think Christian's chapters. We'll see. It's nice to kind of get in their head a little bit more because, I don't know, it's always nice to have that extra insight, but maybe it could be a little bit distracting / can be hard to focus on what's going on, and just like a lot of extra details. I don't know how to explain, but that's what I've noticed so far. I'm excited to keep reading. I think I will check back when I get to 100 pages. Similar to Magnolia Parks, this is just over 400. I think it looks like it's 410, and then there's an extra something in the back that doesn't have numbers on it, and I think there's a bee picture in front of it, so I'm thinking maybe it's leading into Magnolia's next book, so we'll see. But I will check back at 100 pages. I have some thoughts. Okay, I am 50 pages in, so I'm at the start of chapter 8. Look at all of these notes that I was taking. I was taking way more notes than I took when I read Magnolia. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I know that I need to report back, or maybe because I know I need to like pay attention to smaller details because I've already read Magnolia, so I know how it ends, and I know like I'm gonna have to go back and reread it, so maybe I'm trying to be like extra careful reading this. I don't know, but I have so much to share. Some new characters have entered the chat. Okay, we have Carmelo, who is Julian's best and one of his oldest friends. We also know that Julian dated Carmelo's little sister, Gia, and that Daisy and Carmelo and Gia's younger brother were close and were like childhood sweethearts. Interesting, I think that's gonna come back. Romeo, I forget his last name, I guess was Daisy's ex-boyfriend. Something went down. That's gonna be like the big secret in Magnolia of like whatever BJ did, like who he cheated on Magnolia with. I feel like whatever happened with Romeo is going to be a big deal because Romeo has just returned, and the conversation goes, Julian kept them apart, but he did the right thing. Keeping her alive is the gig, he says. But apparently, yes, Daisy and Romeo broke up 2 years ago and it's Julian's fault. T. But basically what I've learned about Daisy is she is in like med school. She's 20 years old. Her parents are gone. Basically, she is kind of like raised by her older brother. They're really close. And their family is like gang lords. That's literally what they say. She says, boys will be boys, gang lords will be gang lords, which is kind of crazy. She has 24/7 security and a bodyguard, which is wild. I also think it's really interesting to see things through Christian's eyes, because I've heard like people who have finished the series have said like, oh, Christian, like he doesn't have much personality. Like I don't really like him. I loved him in Magnolia, even though he wasn't like a huge part of it. I don't know why, I just like him. So it's interesting to see things from his perspective and to see him, or to hear his thoughts about Magnolia, which is interesting because he's like so in love with her, which is crazy. But obviously he's dating Daisy. They're not really dating, they're just like friends with benefits. But it's interesting because like I know Julian was really upset when they first like got together, and apparently it's like so dangerous for them to be together, and I don't really know why. Also, after reading Magnolia, I am like so fascinated with the original covers and like what everything means. And I noticed like a little like washing machine here, and I learned that Daisy really likes to do laundry because it makes her feel like a normal person, because she's like, I could just send it out, but she likes to do it. And there's more that goes into it, but I was like, oh, a little. I love the original covers, like they mean so much. Last thing before I read a little bit more, I think it's interesting Julian and Daisy's dynamic. Like I said, they're really close, their parents are gone. Julian's two like get out of jail free cards of why he like can justify what he does is like the original sin concept, where we're already born sinful, so he's just like living up to it. And number two is that their dad did what he's doing, so he's basically already wearing his dad's sins, so what's a few more, which is, I mean, I don't know. And then it seems like Daisy had an interesting bad relationship with their mom, because Julian says that their dad used to call Daisy a flower among thorns, but then the mom would like say like, well, daisies are common flowers. And Julian just kind of hints that like, I don't know, the mom like had an issue with her daughter, and he thinks maybe that's why Daisy now gravitates more towards men and has like no girlfriends and always struggles to like get close with other women or other girls. So that's interesting. Again, I think that already goes to show there's a little bit more of a plot in here, I feel. So yeah, I'm loving it so far. 50 pages in. I was reading so slow. I was hoping to get to 100 last night, but I was reading so slow because I was taking all of those notes. I mean, I wrote like 2 pages already. So I'm gonna try to get to 100 in the next 40 minutes before I have to go to rehearsal. So we'll see. Okay, I can't. I'm already obsessed. Romeo is back. They like grew up together. They've known each other basically their whole lives, and he is beautiful. And she misses him. And they were in love. There's a scar there from where the blade was. Something went down on that night that changed them. They keep talking about, or Julian mentions a night that changed Daisy that she won't talk about, and Daisy mentioned it too, some night, whatever happened. I believe Romeo was involved. And she just says, I pressed my thumb into his neck. There's a scar there from where the blade was. I wonder what happened. It's really giving BJ and Magnolia. Oh, also, I didn't mention that Daisy, I think it was Daisy, said, it must have been Daisy, She said that Christian wears this heart necklace every day and she like wonders where he got it from. I think she said that. But I'm in Christian's chapter now, and he just mentioned like fiddling with his heart necklace. So I need to write that down. This is a detail that I fear will come up later. Oh. I'm so hilarious. Literally one line under him fiddling with his heart necklace, Parks gave it to me. Gave one to all of us actually back in school. Best friend necklaces. That's so cute. I am so late right now. I absolutely must be getting to rehearsal, but I got to 200 pages, so I'm halfway through, and I feel like there's some things that I need to say. First of all, I made a huge mistake earlier when I was like, Julian's friend Carmelo has been like his longest friend, and he dated the little sister Gia before, and Daisy was like childhood lovers with his little brother, but we don't know his name. It's literally Romeo. Like her childhood lover. Like she didn't have two. It's Romeo. I don't know how and this is why it's like, I was like, oh, I don't know his last name. I need to remember last names. I need like a list of all the characters because there's a lot going on. So they're like close family friends, and they go to like weekly dinners, and his mom, Delina, is like good to Daisy and almost like a second mom to her because her mom like sucked apparently, which we're learning. And also, I don't know if I said this before, but Julian, his job, like his thing is stealing art. I don't know if I already said this, but he's like an arms dealer and he steals art. So art is a big thing to them, which also makes sense why there's like frames here and on the back. And I love that. And they talk about art the way that Magnolia talks about fashion. I also can confirm for myself that Daisy and Romeo's relationship is really giving BJ and Magnolia, but it's also interesting because Daisy like is kind of in love with Christian, but she's like, oh, but he's in love with Magnolia, like I need to stop thinking about him. But then Christian's actually like, I think I love her too, like, oh, but I can't possibly because it's too easy with her, like it shouldn't be that easy, which is so toxic. But they're basically just obsessed with each other, and they both like, the writing is they're saying they're thinking very similar things of like, oh, whenever I do this, all I can see is him, or whenever I do this, all I can see is her. And it's like, if you guys would just come on. We also learned in Magnolia's book that Christian like doesn't fight or doesn't fight back, and we all know like he'd be a good fighter, but apparently I guess that's why he doesn't fight people anymore. Plot wise, we have learned how Julian and Daisy's parents died. Very, very sad. And we also have learned that Romeo has saved Daisy's life multiple times. We learned about 2 of the times, but the 3rd time is apparently like that night that we don't talk about. So I'm dying to know what that is. I think I could probably finish this. I could probably finish this tonight, but I'll probably wait till tomorrow to finish it. Tonight I'm definitely gonna read like another 100 pages because there's like 406 total and I'm halfway through. Another thing that's interesting is I saw this, I think in a vlog somewhere where somebody was reviewing this book. No, maybe they were reviewing Magnolia's book, and they mentioned how, because there's like text messages sometimes. Oh, I just found one. Where'd it go? Like there will be text messages in the books. If you're watching this, I'm sure you already know that. But the person in that video was saying, it kind of bothered me that sometimes the messages were on the wrong side. And I was thinking, oh, she's dumb. Like I've literally never seen them on the wrong side. But I've seen it now 3 times, I think I counted, where the messages were on the wrong side. And at first I was thinking, like, am I stupid? Was that girl stupid? But there was definitely an instance or 2 or 3 where the messages were on the wrong side. So that's interesting. I feel like my makeup is looking really weird. Anyway, I must be going, and I'll be back later tonight. Yum. what's so interesting about this book? I was just about to write this down. I'm almost at 300 pages. I'm at like 282 or something, and I was gonna wait till I got to 300 to eat my dinner, so then I have like 100 pages left. But anyway, I just got to a part where shit went down, and Christian's like, what just happened? Like, what's going on? Why are you feeling this way about it? And then she basically has to like explain something that we as a reader were curious about and like had hints about it, but if that makes sense. And I've noticed that throughout this book that happens, where it's like something's mentioned and I'm like, ooh, what does that mean? And then eventually there'll be like an event that takes place, and then we hear about the past because of the way that this event went down and like how it made them feel, I guess. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, honorary mention, my pink bow icon juice glass broke yesterday or 2 days ago. Tragic. Don't worry, I already ordered another one. And while I was at it, I ordered the pumpkin one for fall. Things have happened, things I cannot say. Also, I feel like Christian and Daisy are way better in terms of like not being as toxic and like communicating a little bit better, maybe. I also wanted to mention that I forgot to do this with Magnolia, and then afterwards I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this with all the other books, and then I forgot until I was halfway through this one. But the playlists that are on Spotify are really good. I don't have Spotify. I'm an Apple Music kind of girly. So I found one on Apple Music. It's called Reading Magnolia Parks and Daisy Haites. And it's so good, and it's like 6 hours, so I'm loving it. Chapter 40, which also happens to start on page 222. I was listening to, or what came up on the playlist was Billie Eilish, I Love You, which I've actually never heard before. But it was so sweet and precious, like listening to that song during the beginning of that chapter. I don't know, listen to that song during chapter 40. And I also wrote down that at one point, Daisy mentioned a great undoing. She said something that would be a great undoing, which is the name of her second book, and I thought that was really interesting. I'm so curious what's gonna happen with that detective Tiller, because he's just like around too much for him not to be an important character. So I'm interested. We also heard a little bit more about Daisy's mom from her perspective, so that was nice. And I feel like everything else I can't really say, but I'm gonna finish tonight, I think. Or should I wait till tomorrow? Maybe I should wait till tomorrow. We'll see. Alright, I'm in my jammies. I'm so exhausted. It's not even that late. It's like 10:30. I have, 23 pages left? And then I think I mentioned before, there is an additional few pages. I can't look that close because there's an additional like 10 pages that I think are about Magnolia, which is interesting because I haven't heard anyone say that before in all of my social media research, but that might be nice. Where I am right now, it is New Year's. It's a later date than when Magnolia Parks' book ended. We have heard about her, and like Daisy found out about everything that happened at the end of Magnolia's book, and I'm so sad for Magnolia. And I can't wait to read her next book. But anyway, I wanted to vlog as I read the last few pages because I did that with Magnolia Parks and it was the best decision ever. Just because shit went down in the last few pages. So we're gonna read. What's going on right now? Oh, Julian, I should have put this in my notes. Bad boy, Julian. Not okay. All right, let's see. Also, Daisy is going through it right now. She is not herself. Detective Killer is wild. Detective Tiller. He's still around. Something about him. Something's gonna happen. Like 15 pages left and my heart is beating because I'm scared. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't even have a reason to be scared. I'm just traumatized from reading the first book. Okay, let me get it together. Oh no. Oh my god. Damn. Damn. I don't know what to say. I feel like that was an abrupt ending, and the ending wasn't as exciting as I thought it was gonna be. But I'm gonna read the little Magnolia section and see how I feel about that. This is tragic. So I finished. I would say 5 stars, but in a different way than Magnolia Parks. Because in Magnolia Parks, I feel like there was less of a plot, but then the ending is really what made it a 5-star for me. Please ignore what I have going on here. But with Daisy Haites, I feel like I liked the plot more and the story throughout, and the ending was just kind of like, eh. I did not feel that the chapter at the end that was about Daisy was necessary. However, I don't even know if that like is meant to be included in here or if that's just like the first chapter of Long Way Home. I really don't have much else to say. I feel like the ending was kind of, what's the word? I don't know. The ending is just definitely giving, it's a series and I have to read the next book immediately. Yeah. I'm feeling very curious. I feel like this didn't need to be as long as it was. Magnolia Parks is better. Also, I wanted to figure out if I was more of a Magnolia Parks girl or a Daisy Haites girl, because I know some people like one of them better than the other. I don't know if it's just me being loyal, but I feel like I am a Magnolia Parks girly. Like when she was mentioned towards the end, like when they got to after whatever went down at the end of her book, I just felt for her and I missed her. And I can't wait to read her next book. So yeah, I do like Daisy though. I like her story. I feel like she's a little bit more relatable than Magnolia, but Magnolia's my girl. I really don't even have that many spoilers, but we will discuss. In Christian's very first chapter, I wrote this down. He says he barely noticed the friend Magnolia walks in with because she's so beautiful. But all I could see was that she was walking in with Paley. And it just hurts, even though it was at the beginning of this book, knowing what happens at the end. I don't think I'm ever going to get over that. Something that I feel like kind of was discussed and then disappeared was Detective Tiller saying, or was it Detective Tiller? Or, yeah, Detective Tiller and Julian saying that there was a 20-year-old girl that was missing, or that was murdered or something, like, whatever happened with that, like who was that? And then also the Ezra Brown guy that Julian was doing this job for and he didn't pay, and then he kidnapped the kids. Kidnapping the kids was crazy. Him never getting his money back was crazy, and I would like to know, maybe we'll find out more about that. I hope so, because I would like for Julian to get his money. I feel like I liked Romeo when he first entered the chat. However, now I just need him to disappear. Like him being a conflict for Daisy is just too much. Like I'm done. I just need him to go back to New York or something. And also, why was he at the house with the kids? Like, I'm confused on why Julian called him in for that job, because what? That doesn't even make any sense. Also very interested in Daisy's friendship with Tara, because I think that was mentioned at the end when she moved into her own separate apartment, which is crazy that she left Julian. But he did break 2 out of her 3 rules, and that was betrayal. But she also kind of betrayed him too by working with Detective Tiller and then also stabbing her or shooting herself. Shooting herself was a little bit dramatic. I feel like Daisy's very dramatic for me and impulsive, and she doesn't really think before she does stuff. Just like she shot that guy at the museum when they were trying to steal that painting. But I also feel like Julian should have told her that this was part of the plan, because how are you going to have her in on the plan and not tell her what's going to happen? Christian taking Daisy on a normal date and doing laundry. I cried. I also feel like the ending of Daisy's book was kind of overshadowed by Magnolia's chapter. Like, can Daisy have her moment? Because now that I've finished the book, I'm thinking about Magnolia. Like, I'm not thinking about what just happened with Daisy. She fucking shot herself in the stomach like a crazy woman, moved out of her home, and also now she doesn't want to see Christian at all just because she can't handle what he does for work and what his family is, which, like, I get, but I feel like she's a little dramatic. That's not the point of what I was saying. I was trying to say I wish that she would have had her moment in this chapter about Magnolia we didn't really need. However, I do think it's interesting how Tom came through even after saying, BJ's gonna hurt you again, I'm not gonna be there. He was there. I think I need a break from the Magnolia Parks universe before I read Long Way Home, but definitely in the next like 2 weeks I don't know if I should read them back to back, because what is it, 3 left? We'll see. And I also don't know if I should vlog each of those books, like if I should do it separately or if I should do the last 3 all combined, like over however long it takes me to read them, like a month or something. Overall, I would still rate this 5 stars, but I feel like it wasn't as exciting as I was hoping it to be, which makes me sad, and I feel like I shouldn't say that. But like I said, I enjoyed the process more than the ending. With Magnolia, it was the opposite. The process was kind of like, okay. And then the ending is what got me. That's all for Daisy Haites today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week, or in a couple of days, I think. Bye.